Warning: the following video contains explicit language which may be offensive to some viewers or inappropriate for children. The content within this video is intended for mature audiences only.
Warning: this video will contain spoilers for the 1986 Alan Moore comic, The Watchman. It may also include discussions or images of violence, sexual situations, and drug use. Viewing beyond this point is a choice you have made, and you take responsibility for that choice. Thank you, and please have a great day.
Hello and welcome to this video. I hope everyone's doing well, I hope everyone's having fun, and I hope the universe is treating you fairly. Today's video is going to be on the 1986 through 1987 Alan Moore, The Watchman. I've done the Tom King Rorschach, and I've done the Geoff Johns Doomsday Clock. And those videos I will probably link somewhere in a thing above, one of those scroll thingies that pop out. But these, I was going through my stuff and I couldn't find where I did The Watchman proper. This is one of those childhood comics as a young teenager I cut my teeth on. This series originally ran for 12 issues, starting in May 1986. The first issue was released May 13th. The last issue was released July 28th, 1987. Like I said, this is Alan Moore. This is Alan Moore, probably near, if not Alan Moore's best work. One of his, saying something is Alan Moore's best work is like saying, you know, it's because all of his stuff of note, Killing Joke, Watchman, which we're doing, V for Vendetta, League of an Extraordinary Men, From Hell, and more recently, 2010, Neonomicon. These are Alan Moore being creative. Go back a couple videos. I think it's 2, maybe 3 videos before this one, where I talk about Neonomicon, where Alan Moore gets to be Alan Moore without the prohibitions from a big multi-million-dollar corporation that is trying to grab the biggest audience possible. This story is a look at 1980s Reagan America, where V for Vendetta was a look at 1980s England. The Watchman is the look at Reagan's America. It is brutal. You have your superheroes. And in this video, I'm going to be zigzagging back and forth between the comic and the movie because it's interesting, because Alan Moore is an unapologetic anarchist. Zack Snyder is an unapologetic libertarian. Alan Moore hates libertarians. Well, Alan Moore hates libertarians, he hates Democrats, he hates Republicans. He pretty much hates anybody affiliated with a political party. He believes that if human beings evolved correctly, that we wouldn't need governments. People would be able to hold themselves accountable and be able to do the right thing, be able to live their lives the way they want to without hurting people, stealing from people, and doing grievous acts against other human beings. The philosophy of do as you will but harm none. And it's really interesting though, because there's a lot of things, because this book was written by an anarchist and the movie was made by a libertarian, and you've got these political personalities colliding, and I think that's one of the reasons why the movie kind of sucked. Well, it didn't suck. I enjoyed the movie. Don't get me wrong. I enjoyed the movie. But taking basically a anarchist look at the world and being made by a libertarian, which is interesting. One of the things that I got wrong for so many years, and it's only been recently that I was corrected on it, and it was because in the 80s we didn't have Google, we didn't have YouTube, so the character of Rorschach for decades, I always considered to be an analog for Batman. Basically, Alan Moore's interpretation of Batman as a fascist. But here, with things like interviews and stuff going up on places like, YouTube, it has come out, and Alan Moore has said in his own words that the character of Rorschach is a direct stab at Steve Ditko and is an analog for Steve Ditko's creation, The Question, which was a Charlton Comics and later bought by DC Comics character. Evidently, Alan Moore and Steve Ditko were so set in their ways that this happened. He did this. I could not fathom being in the hallways of DC and those two men passing each other. So yeah, it's kind of gruesome. And Rorschach was a parody. It was supposed to be a parody of The Question. However, Americans, being Americans, didn't get the joke. I'm guilty of not getting the joke. But the English, the Irish, and the Welsh and stuff like that, they got the joke. Americans didn't. So Americans went with Rorschach and ran with it, and it got stupid. This story is all of our Cold War fears wrapped into 12 issues, into a series of the graphic novel. I have the graphic novels. I don't think I ever owned the individual comics. I read the individual comics because at the time this came out, I was in high school. I was on the half-day work program. I worked at a used comic book store. And the lady, Sandy, who owned the store, Sandy Wilcox, she's passed, always bought store copies for to be read. But we had people that would come in the store and just kind of hang out, and they could pay, like, at the time, I think it was, 25, 30 cents, and they could read a store copy, return it, whatever. It was that, like I said, this is damn near 40 years ago now. So yeah, we had and I read the store copies when there was nobody in the store, nothing to do. I read the store copies. In fact, this is my 1987 graphic novel. Sandy gave this to me free charge because I really liked the individuals. It was kind of a Christmas present, and this book has seen some miles. It's I don't read it. This is I got the 1987 graphic novel when it was new copy. It's my bookshelf copy. Here recently, because I kind of retired reading that because the inks and stuff in it are faded. Everything is just kind of blah. It's hard to read the bubbles. So I picked up this is the current hardcover. Or at time I bought this October, November last year. So yeah, this is my reading copy. The colors and stuff are much crisper. It's a better quality all again book. Like I said, this story is all of our Cold War fears rolled into a comic. It is your basic, or I should say, more popularized the unpopular superhero. The superheroes falling out of favor with the people and the government. And America is kind of in this dystopian state because it's come to rely on Dr. Manhattan as their all-in-one savior. And not a good thing to do. Ozymandias, the world's smartest man, he's kind of an analog for... Part of him is let me see. Let me see if I can better state this. The characters, Night Owl, Silk Spectre, Comedian, Ozymandias, Dr. Manhattan, are all, for the most part, amalgamations of all your different superheroes. Your Iron Man, your Captain Americas, your Superman, your Batman, your Batgirl, your Wonder Woman. They're just this amalgamation. Except for Rorschach. Rorschach, quoting Alan Moore, like I said earlier in the video, is a straight up fuck you. This libertarian stuff is bullshit. So yeah, it is. But these characters are forced into retirement by the government. Ozymandias is working with the government to supposedly make a free energy thing. Basically, energy that is sustainable, renewable, free to make, so you wouldn't have to have electric companies and stuff like that. It would be free, and people could have their basic lighting, heating stuff, and wouldn't have to pay for it, which really kind of has the capitalist America kind of upset at this. You know, how dare the poor have the same, you know, privileges as the rich, you know, being able to get food, pay rent, stuff like that, you know, how dare they? But it's all a ruse for him to create a creature to set up a faux alien attack. Everything goes off. Rorschach, because of the libertarian viewpoint, has to die. And Dr. Manhattan kills him, because if the truth were to get out of what happened, it would undo all of Ozymandias' work. So yeah, you know, this is basically, it is kind of, this comic kind of was foretelling the basically the downfall of the communist bloc. The Chernobyl had, in the real world, Chernobyl had just recently happened. And you had all these things forcing in the real world that are kind of paralleled in the comic, forcing people together. The ending is really optimistic. Moore gave people more credit for being able to get along and think and be accepting of other people's beliefs and stuff than he really should have. The story overall is, it's a good story. I enjoyed it. Like I do in all my videos, I just kind of hit all the high points of the story. Go and read this. Especially if you're a child of the Cold War. If you're a child of the I gotta learn how to talk. I'm getting old. If you're a child of the Cold War and you haven't read this, you probably should. It's like a great big nostalgia cinnamon roll with a little bit of cayenne pepper sprinkled on the top. It's really good. The themes are worth exploring. The characters, one of the things that amuses me both in the comic and in the movie, when the character, the second Silk Spectre and second Night Owl hook up. They save people in a tenement building that's burning down. They break Rorschach out of prison. You have to read the book to figure out how Rorschach got in prison. And basically, it gets them all horny for each other, and they do horny things. They do in the movie, they do horny things before they break Rorschach out of prison, but in the comic, it's all done near the end of the book. So yeah, my takeaway on the movie is Zack Snyder made too faithful of a telling. he basically he went in to Warner Brothers, threw the graphic novel on a desk, and went, "There's your fucking storyboard." And that's how he made the movie. It's line for line, almost line for line, almost panel for panel recreation of the comic, which hurt it. Because you had a philosophically minded anarchist who originally wrote it, and you had a Mr. Houdini. Oh no, you're not Houdini, you're Mr. Blitz. Got to look at the face a little bit better each time. They, like I said, they do a real good job. He does a real good job on staying truthful to the comic, which, like I said, because of he being so philosophically different than Alan Moore, it doesn't translate real well, and I think hurt the movie. And this is about the time period that I started to realize, 2009 I think the movie came out, when I started to realize that maybe one for one, interpretations from a written media into a visual media may not work real well. It's my late 30s. So yeah, and I've grown in that since then. Good old coffee. And it's a great, watch the movie. It is a good movie. I don't think I think it gets more stuff than it deserves. It gets more criticism than it deserves. It gets more, but it's not as good as it should be. I'm gonna put it that way. It is unapologetically 80s. If you are a post-Cold War child, grown up post-Cold War, it's worth going and reading to see how we were thinking back then, how our minds worked, because it is a very much a Cold War story, and it's what it. That's just what it is. So let me go ahead and wrap this up and saying that I really highly recommend this. Well, pretty much anything with Alan Moore's name on it, I would highly recommend. So remember to be a good human, be good to other humans. Peace.
Hey, it's 10 p.m. Do you know where your children are?